Dạ vâng ạ, xin phép các thầy cô chúng ta sẽ được bắt đầu buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay. Vâng, xin được nồng nhiệt chào đón toàn thể quý vị đại biểu, quý thầy cô đang có mặt tham dự buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay với chủ đề là ứng dụng công nghệ AI trong dạy học và kiểm tra đánh giá đối với môn tiếng Anh theo bộ sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh Global Success. Buổi hội thảo được tổ chức bởi Công ty Cổ phần Đầu tư và Phát triển Giáo dục Hà Nội, Nhà xuất bản Giáo dục Việt Nam, và buổi hội thảo thì đang được tổ chức trực tuyến thông qua nền tảng Zoom, đồng thời cũng được livestream trên hai kênh, đó là kênh fanpage và kênh YouTube tiếng Anh Global Success. Lời đầu tiên thì em xin phép được thay mặt cho ban tổ chức xin được gửi tới toàn thể quý đại biểu đến từ các sở giáo dục, các phòng giáo dục cũng như là các nhà trường và toàn thể quý thầy cô là giáo viên tiếng Anh trên toàn quốc đang có mặt tham dự hội thảo, lời chào cũng như là lời chúc sức khỏe, lời chúc bình an và may mắn trong năm 2025. Và cũng trân trọng cảm ơn các thầy cô, các quý vị đại biểu đã dành thời gian tham gia buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay, và rất là hy vọng các thầy cô sẽ thu hái được thật nhiều những cái thông tin và những nội dung hữu ích trong buổi sáng ngày hôm nay. Vâng, kính thưa thầy cô, thì trong 5 năm vừa qua, kể từ khi bắt đầu triển khai chương trình giáo dục phổ thông 2018 và bộ sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh Global Success được đông đảo quý thầy cô trên toàn quốc tin tưởng, lựa chọn và sử dụng để dạy tiếng Anh trong các nhà trường, thì Nhà xuất bản Giáo dục Việt Nam đã luôn luôn nỗ lực để có thể đồng hành chặt chẽ với các thầy cô về mặt chuyên môn, với các công tác chuyên môn, thông qua việc là cung cấp và chia sẻ tới các thầy cô những học liệu hỗ trợ đa dạng và thực tiễn, cũng như là tổ chức những cái buổi hội thảo chuyên đề ở trên cái quy mô toàn quốc và ở từng địa phương, để làm sao có thể góp phần nâng cao cũng như là hỗ trợ các thầy cô trong cái công tác dạy học tiếng Anh ở nhà trường. Và sau mỗi buổi hội thảo thì chúng em cũng luôn kết nối với các thầy cô thông qua những cái phiếu khảo sát để có thể lắng nghe những cái phản hồi, những ý kiến của thầy cô về những chủ đề mà thầy cô quan tâm, cũng như là làm sao để nâng cao chất lượng từ buổi hội thảo và có thể xây dựng nội dung các buổi hội thảo sau đáp ứng được đúng nhu cầu thực tế từ các thầy cô và đáp ứng những cái mong mỏi mà các thầy cô luôn hướng tới. Vâng, và năm vừa rồi và thời gian gần đây thì một trong những cái chủ đề mà được các thầy cô quan tâm và nhắc đến rất nhiều đó là công nghệ trí tuệ nhân tạo AI, đặc biệt là trong dạy học tiếng Anh. Vậy thì trong buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay, chúng ta sẽ cùng với diễn giả cùng tìm hiểu AI được ứng dụng trong dạy học và kiểm tra đánh giá môn tiếng Anh như thế nào. Trước tiên là sẽ tìm hiểu cách làm sao để có thể sử dụng AI một cách tốt nhất, hiệu quả nhất. Như thế nào thì là không lạm dụng AI. Làm sao để có thể ứng dụng AI trong việc thiết kế, việc kiểm tra đánh giá các kỹ năng về ngôn ngữ, và đặc biệt là làm thế nào có thể sử dụng AI đối với bộ sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh Global Success. Và thông qua phần chia sẻ của diễn giả với những ví dụ rất là sinh động, rất là trực quan và thực tế, thì em cũng tin tưởng rằng là các thầy cô sẽ có được những cái ý tưởng rất là thú vị và hữu ích về việc khai thác và sử dụng AI trong công việc hàng ngày của mình. Phần chia sẻ của diễn giả thì sẽ kéo dài trong 60 phút, và sau đó thì ban tổ chức cũng xin phép được dành 15 phút để giới thiệu tới các thầy cô một ứng dụng học tập được phát triển dành riêng cho bộ sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh Global Success và dành cho học sinh với tên gọi là Global Speak. Và sau đó thì sẽ là 30 phút dành cho phần Q&A cũng như là phần khảo sát sau buổi hội thảo. Và diễn giả mà sẽ đồng hành với chúng ta ngày hôm nay là thầy Blue Melier, cũng là một chuyên gia mà đã rất quen thuộc và cũng được rất nhiều các thầy cô tiểu học rất yêu mến, bởi vì với mỗi hội thảo thầy tham gia thì không khí luôn luôn rất hào hứng, rất sôi nổi, và thầy luôn mang đến những cái thông tin rất mới mẻ, rất hữu ích, cũng như là mang đến thật nhiều những ý tưởng thú vị dành cho các thầy cô. Và hôm nay thì trong phần thảo luận cũng sẽ có thêm sự góp mặt của thầy Derek Spafford, cũng là một giám đốc về phát triển chuyên môn khu vực châu Á của Macmillan Education, cũng là một người cũng sẽ có rất nhiều hiểu biết sâu sắc cũng như là những kinh nghiệm đa dạng về việc sử dụng AI trong dạy và học môn tiếng Anh, cũng sẽ chia sẻ thêm với những thầy cô những cái thông tin mà thực sự sẽ hữu ích. So now I'd like to introduce Mr. Blue Melier, academic consultant and teacher trainer of Asian Macmillan Education. And as usual, I'm always excited about your sharing. And today I also look forward, I believe that all the teachers also look forward to your helpful and valuable presentation and sharing. So now the stage is yours. Blue, welcome you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shang. Thank you for that warm introduction. Good morning, Vietnam. Hope you're all well on this Well, I'm in Ho Chi Minh City, and looking outside the window, it looks fairly cloudy, actually. I'm not sure whereabouts in Vietnam you are, but I hope the weather's good, and I hope you're good. As Zhang mentioned, my name is Blue. I am here on behalf of Macmillan Education as their academic consultant and teacher trainer. And this morning, we are discussing everything to do with AI. Now, I'm sure all of you are aware of this topic, this trend, particularly in the world of teaching English. So that's what we're going to focus on for the next 90 minutes, utilizing AI in the classroom and also outside the classroom to make your job easier, to make your teaching better, and make your students' learning improve. So we're going to look through AI and how it can aid your teaching, particularly when it comes to utilizing Tiếng Anh Global Success. So welcome to my session, Applying AI in Creative Teaching. So a few things before we begin my session. Number one, you will need your typing skills. I'm going to have the chat open, okay? Actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for one moment, everyone. I'm going to reshare it because I'm going to make sure my sound is working as well. And it is, okay. So you will need your typing skills. There will be moments I'm going to ask you lots of questions in the chat. So please respond in Tiếng Anh, English, because my Vietnamese is so-so. Miss Tam, hi. How are you? Thank you for saying hi to me. So yeah, you're going to need your fingers. You're going to need your typing skills because I would like you to interact with me in the chat. And also, you will need one of these, a mobile phone. Now, probably your mobile phone doesn't look like that. This is not the late 80s, the early 90s. Maybe your mobile phone looks like this. Just here. Where is it? There you go. That was my phone about 10 years ago. I love the old Nokias, but you will most certainly need this, okay? Your smartphone. If you can use your smartphone with me this morning to interact, it will help you, okay? So if you have your phone near you, keep it near you. You will need it. So let's look at this morning's agenda, okay? What will we be looking at? And Kim Kung, you can use your laptop. I said that you can use your phone, but you can also use your laptop as well. iPad, tablet, yeah. So we're going to look at how best to use AI. On the other side of that, we will, of course, look at the ways not to utilize AI in the classroom. We will delve deeper into AI and look how it can benefit you guys, the educators, the teachers, in order to assess your students using materials in your classroom. And lastly, we're going to look at how you can apply AI to global success, okay? Specifically that course book. So I guess a good place to begin is with the question, what is AI? Now, hopefully you're attending this session because you have an idea of AI, you've used AI before, but I just had a quick Google. What is AI? And honestly, I didn't get a good definition. So I said, what is AI in simple terms? Give it to me in easy to understand English. And it came back with this. So I would like you to take a moment to have a read and guess what the missing words are, please. So in the chat, just type and guess what the missing words might be. And then I will read it to you. What do we think, guys? We've got 3 missing words there. one beginning with M, one beginning with S, one beginning with D. Baknin, again, I can't see your full name, but machines is a good guess. Any other guesses? Machines, machines. Good, good. Okay, so I'll begin to read it. You feel free to give me your 3 guesses, okay? Artificial intelligence is the science of making machines, well done, that can think like us, like humans. It can do things that are considered to be, I think I saw a few good guesses in there, smart. Well done. AI technology can process large amounts of, let me have a look in the chat, see if I can see it. Men, I think you've got it, but you've got it in DÜNG, but yeah, data. Let's see if you're right. Yeah, in ways, unlike humans. So again, it comes down to the speed of things, doesn't it? The way that their brains work in comparison to how fast our brains work. The goal for AI is to be able to do things such as recognize patterns, make, that's actually 4 words, isn't there? Not 3, I can't count. Make decisions, well done, and judge like humans. So here is a very simplified definition of what AI is. Now, if I was to compare AI in English to another subject, I would say mathematics, and a calculator. Now, the calculator is very useful, but 40 years ago, it was very controversial. Okay, this thing can do something very quick compared to the human brain. Is it cheating? Okay, so that's where I think AI is with English. It's not cheating, but it has to be used correctly. Just like using a calculator in maths class, or before AI, using a dictionary to learn how to spell and check words. Word checker on Word on Microsoft. Is it cheating, or is it there to help you and aid you? So that's something we will look at in this session, how to use AI in a proficient manner that allows your students to have help and support, but without cheating. So that is what AI is. So I'm going to give you some examples of AI right now, but I want you to guess what the AI is from the emojis that I show you. So this first one here, we have what looks like a phone, a voice, and what looks like the globe. Can anyone guess what AI this might represent? Have a guess in the chat. Maybe this first one is a good example so you understand what you're trying to do. I'll give it 20 seconds for you to guess. Technology, that's a good guess, but can you be more specific? What type of AI do you think this is? I'll let you know the first one. This is, I've got a clue for you. There's your clue. Helps send messages, sets alarms, and sometimes answers your questions. So I have this AI in my living room at home. Yeah, some of you are very right, but be more specific. I was looking for kind of like a chat bot, but I think who's got that right in the chat? Some Trung Chu Hop. So some school, you've put Siri, and you're quite right. Using your smartphones for voice recognition apps, okay? Voice assistant apps, such as I have Alexa at home. You might have Siri or Google on your smartphones, but that is an example of AI. So yeah, voice assistants. Now, I like voice assistants because they can offer a number of different things, such as real-time pronunciation feedback. You say something correctly, it understands you. You say something incorrectly, maybe you know your pronunciation wasn't as refined as it should be. So it's a really good way to practice pronunciation. So for me, this is ideal for students at home, maybe outside of the classroom. where they can ask a question. And if they're misunderstood, maybe they need to refine and try again with their pronunciation. I always encourage my students to talk to their voice assistants on their phone. It will help them when they want to practice pronunciation, but there's nobody around them to help them. And they want to do a bit of self-learning and self-practice. And again, if the assistant misunderstands, maybe you need to try again and refine your pronunciation. So what about in the classroom? Or maybe even a piece of text but used at home. So here's an example from Tiếng Anh Nam. Number 5, English number 5 from Global Success. And as you can see, it's read and complete. But there's a really good opportunity here to practice the pronunciation if you have no one to practice with. Would Kim Kung help to answer, react, translate? Yes, exactly. You're quite right. So for this example right here, students do have the opportunity to listen first. But what about before the listening? Why not get students to practice that pronunciation? So for example, I've underlined there some final consonant sounds that students quite often in Vietnam omit, forget, and they're not strong enough on that final consonant sound. La Saturday, last Saturday, my classmate, just one classmate, my classmates and I went to the Hyde Park, a big park. So all of this is a great way for students to practice, speak, and recognize. So what about this one, guys? I'll give you a clue. Helps translate words into other languages. What do we think? There's many people. I think there's about 1,000. A dictionary, man. You're quite right. You are thinking of a dictionary. But an old school, traditional dictionary? Or some kind of different dictionary? Or beyond a dictionary, something it does with words. Look at that final emoji there, that final icon. Okay. So this one, guys, helps translate words. Yeah, that keyword is translate. Translation tools. Okay. So again, here's me. And I'm going to translate something right now. Oh, hang on. Sorry, guys. My mouse has gone all over the place. Let me go back to that. It's the problem with juggling here. I'm going to see my video screen. I've got the chat open as well, and sometimes things can go wrong. So look at this video. Here's me using Google Translate. Okay, here we go. So first and foremost, make sure I've got the correct language. And let's see how it does. I want to translate Vietnamese to English. Xin chào, tôi tên là Blue. And it came up with congratulations. So again, it's not perfect, but again, that's probably on my end because I'm not using a Vietnamese keyboard. When I use an English keyboard, of course, I get the correct answer. My name is San, isn't it? There you go. So again, this is nothing new. You're familiar with these translation tools, I hope. But if not, these are all examples of how AI can help us. So again, here's an example using Tiếng Anh 5, Unit 10. Now, I want you to tell me in the chat, everyone. Here's a reading text. I want you to write in the chat a word that students might not know and they might need to quickly translate. Have a look there. And thank you. Yeah, eco-tour is the one I was thinking of. Yeah. That word there, eco-tour. If I was a student of that age, 8, 9, 10 years old, I'm thinking eco-tour, what's an eco-tour? Even as an adult, you might be unfamiliar with the idea of what an eco-tour is. So that's a perfect example of where students might need to quickly translate something. So again, here I go. Google Translate. Let's see if it works, because this is something very specific.
Eco-tour.
Du lịch sinh thái.
There we go.
Du lịch sinh thái.
And again, I'm thinking, is that correct? Let's check Google. Let's do a Google search. And it seems to be correct. But there is a good example of how AI can assist you when you're using words that might often get lost in translation from one language to another. Number one, if you heard me, I actually said the word eco-tour. Here I go.
Eco-tour.
There you go.
Du lịch sinh thái.
So that's the first thing I would suggest to your students. Don't just type it, try saying it. Number two, use Google and the Google search just to double check that that translation is actually correct. A couple of steps, but very useful steps for your students to take. Okay, here's another one, guys. Yeah, T-Man, double check, always double check. And that's why a simple Google search can really help you to double check. Here's a clue, everybody. This converts spoken words into text. Feel free to paraphrase if you don't know the term, but we've got it there, speech to text, yes. Speech to text technology. And I think of how in the last few months, I've used this technology in Microsoft Word. Because sometimes when I type, I have the idea in my head. I have it perfectly formed in my head. But when I type, it doesn't come out the same. So sometimes what I like to do is speak my answer, allow Microsoft Word to dictate and take it in, record, and then from that text is a template of what I like to then improve, refine with my writing. So that's another thing I also encourage my students to use. And yeah, we've got rev.com, we've got Grammarly, we've got all of these resources, whether they're free or whether they're behind a paid wall. All of them, not cheat, but can help students refine their writing skill and structure. But bringing it back to a free application, here is one with Microsoft Word where students can voice out their answers and then refine it with their writing. It's a really nice way to get quick thoughts down onto, I was going to say paper, but down onto the screen for then students to work with and adapt and change. Yeah, guys, again, I love this in the chat. When I mention these things, they're not maybe the forefront of AI technology. So feel free in the chat to share any alternatives that you might have, okay? As we know, I'm having this workshop with you today on Sunday morning. By next weekend, it could be completely different in terms of the latest AI technology. So please, you will be helping me as well if you can share your suggestions in the chat. Thank you. So again, you've got that dictate option right there with Word. So smartphones, online shopping, social media, and anything else, navigation apps, all of these, fitness trackers, if you've got a watch, a smartwatch, okay? All of these are types of AI that you might be utilizing every day. But let's bring it back to the classroom, because all of this tech, all of these things that we want to use, we need to know how to apply. And that brings it back to the classroom as a teacher. How can we allow this AI to be incorporated into our students' learning journey? Well, here's a few examples of what we will look at today. We're going to look at how to create content. We're going to look at how you might try to gamify learning in the classroom. We've already looked at how you might improve your students' pronunciation away from the classroom with some self-learning, and also some language translation. And we're going to look at language assessment as well. So let's begin with students and phones, because I'm not saying that all of your students, particularly maybe primary level students, have a phone, but maybe they have tablets. Maybe you have a screen at the front of your classroom, access to the internet. I'm going to show you now some ways that you can utilize your AI in the classroom. So, more and more students have smartphones. Let's look at ways that we can utilize them in a resourceful way and not in a way that distracts students from their learning journey. So we're going to be utilizing Padlet for the next 15 minutes, okay? If you're unfamiliar with Padlet, it's an online jotting pad. Think of a piece of paper in front of you. That is Padlet. So what we're going to do is you're going to use your smartphones, you can use your laptop, you can use your tablets, but you're going to need a piece of technology that can access Padlet. In a moment, I will share a QR code with you guys. You're going to scan the code and join me on my Padlet in a moment. I want you guys to take a selfie, okay, to express how you feel about the following question. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to react to my question, not by typing in the text, but by sending a selfie to the Padlet. So I want you to express your feelings with your face, your expression, but no words, okay? So how do you feel about using AI in your classroom? So again, please do not type in the chat. Please send a selfie in a moment. I will show you how to do it. So this is the Padlet. And what you're going to do, everybody, is there's the plus icon. You're going to find that icon, okay? A box will appear, and you're going to look for the camera icon, okay? You might need to look in the plus folder, the plus icon where it says plus 12, but there will be a camera icon. And what you're going to do is you're simply going to take a selfie of yourself to answer that classroom question. How do you feel about AI and using it in the classroom? Once you've taken the picture, you're going to click publish, and we're going to see all of your beautiful Sunday morning faces. So here is, oh, and one more thing, I almost forgot. Sometimes your keyboard can get in front of the options. So make sure your keyboard is lowered down so you can see the plus option to find the camera icon. Okay, so get rid of the keyboard, make sure it disappears. So here is the QR code. I hope it works. It worked this morning when I checked. So please scan the QR code and join me on the Padlet page to express yourself of how you feel about using AI in the classroom. Are you confident? Are you scared? Are you happy? Are you worried? Are you concerned? I'm going to stop sharing this screen and share my Padlet, and hopefully people will join. Where is my Padlet? Okay, I can see 11 people. Thank you. 15. Helpful, that's good, but do not write your answer. Take a selfie. I want to show you how you can utilize AI in different ways. Trin, thank you, guys. I don't know which one of you is Trin, but I'm seeing that someone is not feeling so confident. The other two ladies feeling so-so. Thank you, guys. Guys, remember, it's good that you feel happy and modern, but let's see. Wow. Thank you, Shy Chinchilla. You're not looking so shy in that photo. Dell, thumbs up. Just the thumbs up from Dell. Polite Caterpillar, a bit of a smile, feeling confident. Most of you are, I'm guessing you're feeling confident about AI then. Cindy, you're looking pretty confident. Well, guys, put it this way. I'm hoping by the end of this 90-minute session with myself and my colleague Del, who you will see later, I'm hoping that you're going to feel confident with how you can use it and excited about the opportunities. Helpful Ant, Fabulous Zebra, Lynn. Guys, I'm loving these names. Fabulous Bear, Fancy Deer, showing off a beautiful portrait there, a photo. Okay, most of you are feeling confident and happy. I'm not. Passionate Toad, maybe feeling a little bit concerned. Busy Dragonfly, not only looking good, but beautiful garden. Trang feeling good. Who have we got there? We've got Blushing Zebra with her kids. Good morning. Great. Awesome. Guys, this is wonderful. So hopefully you're feeling confident about using AI. And that's a good thing, okay? I'm going to scroll down a bit more. Wonderful, guys. Thank you. Thank you. There's one more. Miss Huang. Miss Hong, thank you. Kids, I hope you're doing well. Miss Anchovy. Adorable Salmon, looking worried and concerned. Thank you. Thank you. Really good job. So there is, again, it's silly, but it's a useful way to get students to interact. Maybe you're teaching online. Maybe you want just to have something at the front of the class for students to look at. But it's a great way to get your students engaged and utilizing AI. So let me go back to my screen. So I feel most of you are feeling confident, comfortable. Okay. So again, I apologize, Hung In. Hopefully these QR codes are working and you can jump on to the Padlet, okay? Because Padlet is a really useful tool to use in the classroom for sharing ideas quickly and having them on the screen at the front of the class. So again, here is an example of how we might use our technology. Here we have Tiếng Anh number 5, unit 1. And as you can see, it's a conversation discussing sport preferences, favorite sports. Two ladies are asking, what's your favorite sport? It's basketball. What about you? Now, I would bring this to the students. What's your favorite sport? Now, this is a nice way for students to get creative. So what I would say to my students is, I want you to draw a picture of your favorite sport. So again, you can use Padlet. You don't have to. You can go old school, draw a picture, of course. But as we are in a session about AI, let's see how we can use AI to make this a little bit more interactive. So what you're going to do, guys, in a moment, is I'm going to give you a different QR code, and you're going to find the drawing icon. There you go, draw. And what you're going to do is you're going to draw a picture. I'll give you about 3 minutes to do this. You will not have long. Have a guess. What do you think my favorite sport is? Have a guess in the chat. What do we think? Football, of course. Yeah, my favorite sport is football. There you go. My favorite football team. So again, what you're going to do is draw the picture. You're going to click publish. And there you go. Simple. So again, it's a really good way to get students being creative. And then with their pictures, other students can laugh, cry, but also guess what their favorite sport is. So you're going to be doing this for the next 180 seconds. There's the QR code, guys. You're not going to have very long for this, okay? But let's see how quickly you can draw a picture. Hey, if you can't draw, this is your opportunity to use Padlet and see if you can maybe find a picture. Google image search, okay? There are a number of useful tools and utilities on Padlet. So if you're not very artistic, feel free to try and find a picture instead, okay? But there's the QR code, and I want you to draw a picture of your favorite sport. You did have 3 minutes. Now you have 2.5 minutes, okay? I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to jump over to my Padlet. Who else put a picture? courageous peacock with a Christmas hat on. All right, guys, I'm going to go over to my next Padlet. Let's draw. Nhung. She hasn't said what her favorite sport is, but she loves AI. Del. I'm going to guess that might be... I'm going to guess, Del, that is a bit of egg chasing, isn't it? A bit of rugby. Bubbly dolphin. I honestly, guys, feel free, if you don't want to draw, comment on people's pictures to guess what they might be, what sport they might be. Because bubbly dolphin, is that swimming? Gymnastics? I don't know. Skipping? Playful piranha, I think that might be badminton. Oh, hello, Vietnam. Guys, you guys love badminton, don't you? Hey, but I tell you what my new favorite sport in Vietnam is. Myself, I have been playing a lot of paddle tennis, which is very popular here in Ho Chi Minh City, and pickleball. There is pickleball everywhere. So yeah, they are my two new favorite sports. But guys, these pictures are wonderful. Big fans of badminton. Helpful Lobster, a computer gaming? Maybe a bit of PlayStation, Xbox. T, is that swimming or is it sleeping? Courageous peacock, it might be badminton, but it looks very busy badminton, doesn't it? Hugh Vu Van Phu, I think that's the nicest picture I've seen yet. But guys, I hope you can see how much you can get from utilizing this kind of AI platform in your classroom. There are a number of different tools from Padlet that I simply don't have time to share with you. But please, I encourage you, whether you're teaching online, in the classroom, it's a really useful tool and resource. Guys, you've got some lovely pictures here. Football, adventurous finch. Me too, mate. I love football. Guys, this is wonderful. Well done. Swimming, bit of bong ra, a bit of basketball. Basketball is my second favorite sport to watch, but I'm not very good at playing it. Guys, great job. Thank you for participating. Some really good drawings, considering I gave you very little time. Thank you. So let me open my... Is playing Atari a sport? I think it's in the Olympics now. So here we go. Next part. 1 or 2. Now I need your help again, people of Vietnam. In the chat, I would like you to do one of 2 things. I'm interested in hearing your experience so far using AI, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a question or give you a statement, and you have 2 options for your answer. Type 1 or type 2, depending what your answer is, okay? So I understand what Mr. Blue has asked me to do. Please type 1 for yes or 2 for not yes. Good, cool. You understand my instructions. Thank you. Any number 2s? Any number 2s? No, all number 1s. Okay, here we go. I've used AI apps and tools in my teaching before. Cool. 1-1 and number 11 there, so definitely. So again, most of you are here right now with VEPH and Hyde and Macmillan Education because you are familiar with AI. That's wonderful. Again, if you put number 2, no problem. Hopefully you can see some ideas in this session. Understanding and using AI tools scares me. Again, I asked you the picture earlier, didn't I? The selfie. Most of you are feeling confident, but there's some number 2s. Okay. Next question, guys. Going to be very fast here because I am wary of my time. My school doesn't have the technology for me to utilize AI tools. Okay, maybe a few number 2s here. And again, this is the reality. AI isn't available to everybody. But what I'm hoping to show you is even with a mobile phone, hopefully there is an opportunity for yourself as a teacher or even your students at home to utilize this technology. So even if your school doesn't have the resources and technology, maybe you yourself has a phone, then you've got access to AI and some of the things I will show you today to make your teaching easier. So don't worry. I'm worried that my students will use AI to cheat. Few ones, few twos. Guys, we're all teachers. We're all educators. I ask you one question. Did your students cheat before utilizing AI? Your answer is probably yes. Or let me ask you an even better question and a very honest question. When you were at school, did you cheat before AI? One. We all did, okay? The reality is cheating will always be there, whether we have AI or not. What we're looking at is how to utilize it in the right way. So don't be worried about your students cheating with AI because they will cheat without AI, okay? So don't worry, that's always going to be the reality. It's always going to be there. We just have to best utilize what we have available. And AI is right there for us to use. So don't worry, teachers. We've all been there before. So how can we utilize AI tools? Okay. We can utilize them hopefully to encourage more speaking in the classroom. Encourage students to do some self-learning, even away from the book they're studying at home. We can use it as a tool, as you've seen this morning already, to motivate and engage our students. I'm hoping that you were engaged with those activities using Padlet, okay? It's all about engagement. Once you've got engagement, the learning can begin, but we have to get our students on board with what we're trying to teach them. Hopefully, to complement the resources and the content of the book you are using. And finally, to create content that will help you in the class. So maybe using some supplementary content for you to use with your students. But of course, how to utilize this technology against how not to utilize this technology. Now, the first most important thing is AI is not the answer to all of your problems. It's an assistant. It's a tool. It's a resource. No different to a dictionary, a calculator, Wikipedia, which I wouldn't trust anyway. So it's a tool, it's a resource, but it's not the answer, as you will see later. It's not a substitute for you being the teacher. So don't feel free to be lazy. You've still got the same amount of teaching to do, but just hopefully you've got more support. It allows students to cheat, but as we just mentioned in that 1 or 2, that's always going to be there anyway. It's all about managing it correctly. Now, it isn't a tool for everybody. This is something that needs to be addressed. You might have 5 teachers in your school who are on board with AI. And then you have 3 more teachers who prefer their traditional way of producing or teaching material. And that's okay. For me, I like to have a bit of this and a bit of that and mix the 2 together. That for me is the perfect AI recipe. Of course, it's not a substitute for human connection. Ultimately, you still want your students to collaborate and work together. Whilst we can use AI to self-learn, it's not a substitute for that connection that we deliver as a teacher or student to student. Also, be careful. I have been privy to this myself. Not everything AI produces is the truth, which we will look at. So let's look at complementing your book's content. Here we have Tiếng Anh number 4, okay? Unit 4. And it's a story about pen friends, okay? And one pen friend writing to another pen friend. Now I'm thinking, what can I do with this text? How can I bring it to life? I don't know. How can I? So what I might do is I might use an AI image creator, an image generator, where basically this AI image generator can create pictures for me, okay? So here's one, it's called Pixlr, but you might know your own, okay? There's a number of different ways or a number of different tools online to create images quickly. But this is what I would do in my classroom. Remember, to complement your book's content. So I want to use that content to get my students using their English. So before I utilize the AI tool, I want my students to test what they can remember, okay? So I would have my students dictate to a partner and draw a picture. So example, guys, I'm going to show you this for the next 30 seconds, and I want you to remember as much information from this text as you can. So this is what your students would do in the classroom. They would open their books, read the text, and remember as much as they can. It's going to disappear in 15 seconds, everyone, and then you're going to type in the chat everything you can remember. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's gone. In the chat, can you tell me anything you can remember from that piece of text? Use your fingers, use your keyboard. Do not keep me waiting, please. Britain, March, birthday, Bill from Britain. Thank you. Now, some context. Give me some context. If it says Britain, what does that mean to me? It means nothing. Bill is from Britain. Aha. So try not to give me keywords, buzzwords, but give it context. Bill from Britain, eat chips and lemonade. Why does he eat chips and lemonade? So student to student, they're going to regurgitate what information they can remember. From that information, their partner's going to draw a picture, okay? A very simple picture. Thank you guys in the chat. Thank you very much. So here's my picture from what I remembered. Here's Bill. It's his birthday. He's 9. He's from Britain. It's March 30th, or it's in March. I just guessed the 30th. And he's drinking lemonade and he's eating chips. So now your student has that picture that they've created from that piece of text in the book. Now, what would we do? I would get my students to tell me all the information that they can remember. Teacher, the boy is 9 years old. Okay, 9 years old. Where is he from? He's from Britain. Okay. It's his birthday in March. And I, the teacher, would type all of this information into an image generator. Remember, your students already have their picture. Now, what we would do is we would compare the AI generated image. It took quite a while. I had to, come on, quick, hurry up, hurry up. It did take a while. I did get quite bored, made myself a coffee. But finally, the students show their picture and compare it to what AI produced. Ba, 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 ba. Again, it's fun, it's silly, it's interactive, but it gets the students involved. And what it really does, it complements that reading text in your book that students could easily finish in 5 minutes. But now you've got them reading the text, you've got them collaborating, pair work, and you've got them remembering all of this key information to dictate and give back to the teacher. So you've taken what could be a 5-minute activity and built it into a 15-20-minute fun, engaging activity that all the students can participate in. AI gave me a few options there. These were the 3 that it gave me. Pretty good, but I bet your students' pictures have more detail in them, I hope. Okay, and there's the challenge. You could say to your students, I want your picture to illustrate more detail than what the AI generates. It's fun, very useful to do in the classroom. And trust me, your students will be fully engaged with that content in the book. Now, on the flip side, don't take everything as truth. Here is my example, okay? Whilst AI tools can be considered smart, they're smarter than me, it doesn't mean they're always correct, just like me, okay? Double check. And I'm going to leave that there, guys, for you to read, because double checking is something as a teacher you should be doing anyway, whether it's AI information, whether it's Wikipedia, anything. It needs double checking. You need to verify the information you are given. Okay, so always double check, always double check. So this was an example I had with AI. I said to our friend ChatGPT, I said, how can I use you to help with the 4 skills for assessment purposes? It replied, all this information. And it said number 2, speaking. Okay. It can help me with speaking. How can it help? It can provide feedback on pronunciation and fluency. Oh, great, I thought. That's really useful. But then I thought, well, actually, can it hear me? How can it offer feedback on my pronunciation and fluency if it can't hear me? It can't, can it? So I said, how can I do number 2 with you? Let's do it now. And basically, it asked me to describe my favorite hobby or activity. When you're ready, you can respond verbally, and I'll listen and provide feedback. I thought. Respond verbally? You're going to listen? I said, how will you respond and give feedback? Can you hear me? Can you hear me being the key words? As an AI text-based model, I can't directly hear you. Well, then why did you say you could help me and listen and give me feedback? Okay. So I said, so you can't really help me with pronunciation then. And ChatGPT was very honest. It said, that's correct. As a text-based AI model, I can't directly assess pronunciation. So it didn't, well, it did lie, didn't it? It didn't tell me the truth, okay? So I said, so even though you stated that you can provide feedback on pronunciation, you actually can't. Very angry I was. And to be fair to my good friend ChatGPT, it did apologize for any confusion, okay? Now, this was a few months ago I did this, but as I said earlier, this AI technology changes with the wind. A week later, 2 months later, AI has expanded, ChatGPT has changed, and it can do different things. So now it does have voice recognition, okay? Have a look at this example, guys. Here we go.
Hello. If I talk to you in Vietnamese,
Oh, sorry, let me start again.
can you tell me if you understand? Hello. If I talk to you in Vietnamese, can you tell me if you understand me?
Of course. I'm up for the challenge. Go ahead.
Xin chào, tôi tên là Blue.
It takes its time.
Xin chào Blue. Tôi có thể hiểu bạn đang giới thiệu tên của mình. Rất vui được gặp bạn.
Xin lỗi, tôi không hiểu. Tôi nói chút chút tiếng Việt.
Bạn đang làm rất tốt. Tiếng Việt sợ bạn nghe rất hay. Tiếp tục luyện tập nhé.
Cảm ơn nhiều. Sang ngày mai, tôi đi nấu ăn.
Xạo à.
Chúc bạn có chuyến đi an toàn và vui vẻ nhé.
Okay, thank you. Can you translate all of that conversation into English, please?
So, guys, did it translate it all into English? Yes, it did. So as you can see, my Vietnamese isn't great, but your students will hopefully not be using Vietnamese for this purpose. They will be using their Tiếng Anh, their English, okay? And you see how useful it can be as a self-learning friend, okay? Really useful. ChatGPT can be used at home, on your phone, on your laptop, on your tablet, but it's a great resource just there for translation, but also for having an actual conversation as well. That's how far we've come. From 3 months ago when I did it, and it couldn't actually listen to my English or my Vietnamese and correct my pronunciation, to now, today, and what it can do. So I really do hope you find that useful in a way that you can help your students to progress with their pronunciation, their vocabulary, their practice, simply by utilizing an AI tool. So let's do a bit of fact or fiction, everybody, okay? I'll give you a statement, and in the chat, I want you to write maybe T for true or F for false, okay? So I'll give you a fact or fiction about AI, and you need to tell me if it's the truth or not. Here's number 1. ChatGPT can always tell the difference between British and American English. True or false? A few Fs, a few Ts, mostly Fs. Here we go, guys. Fiction. ChatGPT can recognize some spelling, but it does make mistakes. So you could often get a piece of text that is a mixture of American standardized English and British English. So again, be careful. Number 2. Oh, here's an example. For example, the omission of the U in American English or in British English, the inclusion of the U. Number 2. Students can rely 100% on AI for learning grammar. I think we all know the answer to this, don't we? We've got 1 T in there, 1 T. And the answer is fiction. AI can help explain. It can provide examples. But remember we said about AI being smart, but also it's not human. So whilst it can give examples, are those examples relatable to your students? Or can you as a teacher who knows your students make them more relatable by simplifying the rule to something they understand? And that's the key, okay? Can AI explain it? Yes, they can. But can they put it into a context for your specific students so they understand? Maybe more of a challenge, okay? And maybe something more so that you, the teacher, are comfortable doing. So again, it can explain grammar, of course it can. It can give you examples, of course it can. But is it 100% perfect for learning grammar? No, because it's missing that human factor of context, okay? Next one. ChatGPT can summarize a long reading passage instantly. This one's a good one. I like this. A few more T's. And the answer is fact. It can. Now, again, this is something that maybe has changed in the last few months, maybe since you last visited an AI tool online. But yeah, ChatGPT can actually take a piece of text, a proper chunky piece of text, and it can summarize it instantly for you, which we're going to do now. Okay, have a quick read. It can summarize, okay? But again, is it perfect? As it says there, it might miss key points. So there is a way to refine, maybe improve, which my friend and colleague Del will talk about later in terms of using useful prompts. But yes, It can. Always review what you're doing, but let's try this right now. Here I have example of a really useful PDF that I have been using for my job, my work for the last year and a half. Compliments and courtesy of my boss, Del, who you will see later. This comes from the British Council. It's the future of English. Now, as you can see, it's a PDF of 183 pages. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to read all of that. I don't expect all of you to read all of this. But how can AI help me to summarize? So I uploaded this PDF to ChatGPT and said, can you please summarize this PDF for me and make it downloadable as another PDF? And of course, it did it. I was amazed. And here we go. Here it did it. It created a PDF, 3 pages, 4 pages, just summarizing the key information in the Future of English Global Perspectives from British Council. Okay, I was surprised. And if you'd like to download it, the summary, there's the QR code now. I'll keep it on the screen for the next 9 seconds, okay? But again, just think about you as a teacher. If you're finding all of these useful PDFs in English online, and you're feeling pretty daunted by having to read all of them, you can summarize them. You can get them to translate. It won't be perfect, but there will be ways to sort of quicken the process for you to understand the main idea of the text. So again, this isn't perfect. It's a 3-page PDF of 183 pages of the original document. So of course, it's a very brief summary, but it's a nice summary to get the general idea. So yeah, I would encourage all of you, and Del, thank you, Del. If you wouldn't like the summary, if you'd actually like the whole text, Del has just politely and nicely put the PDF link to the PDF in the chat. No, we don't have to pay for it. It's free. Woohoo! So yeah, feel free to take the QR code for the summary or the actual document itself, and you can have a play around with ChatGPT and see if you can get the main things. Apologize if they request to send message via phone. Man, give me more information there. I will send all of these QR codes, by the way, you'll have access to at the end of the session anyway. So don't worry if you don't take it now. But I'm going to have to move on because I am conscious of my time. So here we have a lesson, guys. Again, we've got Tiếng Anh, Unit 2 from book number 5, Our Homes. And I want to create content to make my life as a teacher easier. So I asked ChatGPT, I'm going to actually upload this lesson page from the book, okay? So if you just wait a minute, you will see that it gets uploaded. There we go. So I took that lesson and I said, this is my lesson today. The class is 45 minutes and I'd like a mixture of activities, but with a focus on collaboration and pair speaking. Someone's put a very good comment in the chat there. ChatGPT 4.0 is very expensive for teachers to use. I agree. I use this one-off. I paid English £30, maybe just under 1 million Vietnamese dong for 1 month. It's not cheap. But what is now ChatGPT 4.0 will soon become old. And as soon as it becomes old, it becomes free because there's something new. So don't worry if you don't have access to all of these resources and tools right now, because as I showed you with my voice recognition, in 2-3 months, it can all change, okay? But it's a valid point. Not all of these resources will be free at this time. So guys, yeah, let me continue my video. Many thanks, Love Blue. And I would encourage all of you to be polite to AI because you never know when AI will voice back. So always be polite. And look what it does. It creates a very, very, very thorough and clear lesson plan. So I say, thank you, great. Can you format all of this information into a table for me, please? And it did. It put it nice and clearly into a table that I could use, okay? Right there. Perfect. All right, guys, I'm going to move on to assessment, okay? But very quickly with this, I asked it to create some assessment based off what I uploaded. And again, it gave really nice reading assessments. Here's the reading. Very clear speaking assessment with a nice and simplified scoring rubric criteria. Writing assessment as well. Now, what you can do, maybe you've got some specific examinations, maybe the Cambridge Young Learner examinations that you want your students to prepare for. You can even type that into the ChatGPT as well, and it will try its best, okay? Again, not perfect, to align the assessment format of the exam that you request. Again, it's not perfect. As a teacher, you're going to have to cross-reference and cross-check, but as a template of assessment, it's right there as added supplementary material. Tan, what did you say there, mate? Can you send the prompt of this, Blue Amelia? Again, I can send the prompt. It's right there, but you'll have access to this PowerPoint at the end of the session, so you'll be able to come back and see it. Also, with Dell in 10 minutes, he's going to talk you through prompts as well. So yeah, really good, really good. Encourage more speaking is my final point before I move over to my friend Dell. Okay. And basically, not using AI as a substitute for that human connection in the class. So my lesson is all about outdoor activities. Okay. Again, I'm using Tiếng Anh number 5, outdoor activities. Now, I want my students to focus on their comparatives and their superlatives. So we're going to do a game called ranking, okay? We're going to rank items in order of importance to survive outdoors. It's going to be a speaking activity, pair work. But what we're going to do is we're going to do some blind ranking. So that what that means is, as the teacher, you are in control of when you show your students the item that they need to order. What your students need to do is discuss the item and put it down next to the number they think of importance without seeing the next item. So here's the situation. Your students are camping outside for 2 days in central Vietnam, in the countryside. So it's not hot, it's slightly cool and chilly. Okay. It's chilly at night, and they need to rank these items. Number 1 is the most important. Number 8 is the least important. Okay. I'd like you guys to do this now at home, just by yourself. So I will show you an item and you need to give it a number of importance. Maybe you're going to give your students a template in the classroom to work with, and you're going to show them the first picture. Matches. So in the chat, guys, tell me, what number would you put matches at in terms of level of importance? Surviving outdoors for 2 days. What number would you put it? Number 1, okay. So remember, your students are doing this in the class. They're having to put it next to number 1, but with discussion and reason. They're communicating. Okay, next one. Sleeping bag. Again, I'm going to be very quick here, guys. So just put your numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next one, after sleeping bag, flashlight. So again, I'm being very quick here, but in the classroom, you're going to let each picture breathe. Give students 3 minutes to discuss, 3 minutes to agree, disagree, give reason. No, flashlight shouldn't be number 4. Flashlight should be blah, blah, blah. So again, they're not going to agree. They're going to debate, discuss. They're going to put a number. Next one, sunscreen. What do we think, guys? Number 3. Okay, number 3. It could still get quite hot in the day, couldn't it, in central Vietnam? Mosquito net. Now, as you can see, everybody, you, the teacher, are in control of this whole activity because you are feeding all these pictures slowly, slowly, bit by bit. So the students don't know what is coming next. So if they've already used their number 2, they can't change it. They can't change number 2 to a different thing. That's what makes it fun. Next one, backpack. And the next one, binoculars. Maybe you want to do a bit of bird watching in central Vietnam. Villers says number 7. 7. Number 1, most important. Interesting. Okay, next one. First aid kit. Okay, quite high. Number 1 says a few people. So again, the activity itself is completely pointless in the sense that your students will get a list that aren't their real true answers, okay? Because they've had to do it blindly, image by image, okay? But it's fun. What will happen next? These are my answers, by the way. This is what I would do. This is my suggestion. Find a hotel, okay? But what your students could do next is they could compare their rankings with the other students. They could change their order according to what they really think, okay? Or what could they do? You could create a whole class order at the front with everybody's opinions. Or lastly, you could ask AI for their answers and see what differences once the students have put their own real answers. So you've put your answers, guys. Here is ChatGTP. I said, you have to camp in the countryside of central Vietnam for 2 nights. It's chilly. Can you please rank these items in order? 1, most important, least important. Hugs and kisses, blue. Again, be nice to AI. AI said, number 8, binoculars. 7, sunscreen. Backpack. Mosquito net at number 5. Number 4, flashlight. Number 3. What's number 3? First aid kit. Number 2, matches. And number 1, the sleeping bag. And again, whether it's right or wrong, whether you agree or disagree, you have taken a piece of a lesson and created a 30 or 40-minute speaking activity. Okay? Not only do students blind rank the items and agree or disagree, they then order the items into their real order, and then they compare with AI for a bit of fun and silliness. Now, I did survival outdoors, but you could use this activity for food preference, what students think is the healthiest or unhealthiest, most beautiful or ugliest something, animals, anything, okay? Scariest animal, least scariest animal. All of these things you could do with this blind ranking activity, and you're simply using AI as a useful tool for comparison. But all the other work is yours. So, and again, AI is very friendly as well. It gave me hugs and kisses in return. I like that. So guys, I'd like to conclude before I jump over, but possible issues, okay? Be careful with specific mistakes that ChatGPT could make, okay? And not just ChatGPT, but any kind of AI assistant, okay? Always double check your work. because it does create and make up information. And it will tell you that itself, like here. Okay. Next one, it isn't always up to date. So it could struggle with up-to-date information. Okay, the last few months even. So be careful because it's not up to date with recent events. And this is where Dell will come in very useful in a moment. It can misinterpret questions if the information you feed it isn't quite clear enough. So stick around because Dell is going to give you some very useful advice in a few moments. And again, this is key as well. As a teacher, you've got that human connection. But sometimes AI, by its nature of not being a human, can be a little bit robotic in its responses. And it lacks that nuance of being authentic human response. Okay, it's just not natural all the time. And you will find that if you try to converse with it, it doesn't have that nuance of authenticity that you would get from a native speaker, forget me, just of someone who's speaking that language naturally as a human, okay? So you should always encourage responsible use with your students and yourself. Make sure you double check. Make sure that the information is not false. And again, use AI like you use a calculator. It's a tool, it's a resource, but it's not there to make shortcuts and to do the job for you. So, AI is like a student. It needs clear instructions. The quality of your prompts will affect the response that you receive. The more details you provide, the better these responses. And that leads me to introducing my boss, my co-worker, my friend, Del Spafford. Now, Del is the Asia Regional Professional Development Manager. He is based in Bangkok, Thailand, and he is delighted to be with you right now, where he's going to discuss using prompts in AI tools. Over to you, Del. Thank you.
Thanks, Blue. Thank you very much for that excellent session. Really loved it. I really love the Padlet. It's so engaging, isn't it? It's so much fun. You can use it again and again. Even the images that you've put up, that we've put up there now, you can go back to the lesson, the next lesson, pull up some of those images and try and elicit from the students what that actually, was trying to say to the students. So it's an excellent resource and I absolutely love it. Thank you so much. So I'm going to talk to you all today about the writing of prompts. So let me share my screen. Okay. So we can see here that my title is Writing Effective Prompts with Generative AI, ChatGTP. Now, I'm using ChatGTP as my tool, my large text tool for generating content, for summarizing, as Blue's mentioned, for lots and lots of different things. Now, I know there's other tools out there. I know that DeepSeek has really sort of disrupted this space recently. You might be using DeepSeek, but at the moment, I'm not using that. I'm still using ChatGTP. I find it very effective and I'm very common with the functionality. So what I'd like you to show you is just a very short introduction, if you like, to writing prompts. But I think from this, let me tell you, when I did this, when I did some training, when I found out about how to write effective prompts, it was a game changer. And I'm hoping you're going to have the same effect. When ChatGTP came out 2 years ago, I mean, like everybody, I was just, this is amazing. I can use it for so many different ways to help me. And now after doing the training on writing prompts, I'm amazed again. It's given me a new lease of life. Now, ChatGTP, when you ask it a question, a prompt, it can vary in quality. Blue's mentioned this. It can give you very good quality responses, very low quality responses, depending on the prompts that you give it. the topics are all out there. Whatever topic you want, it will give you an opinion or something on those topics. So when we ask it a question, we're getting a wide variety of responses, a vast amount of topics, and a vast amount of quality. So what we want to do is really target the response that we require. All right. And by doing that, by writing prompts, we can actually do that. And I'll show you how. So the task for today, a very simple task, which you might use in your lessons, is to plan some activities to introduce vocabulary. And the topic is animals, and the grade that I'm teaching is grade 4. So I might go to ChatGPT and ask it to please prepare a lesson on animal vocabulary for my grade 4 primary students. All right, very simple prompt, and it will do me a pretty decent job, I would imagine. Let's have a look at what it will do for me now. So just pull it up. Can you see, just to check that the screen's okay? Yeah, okay. So if I then type enter, I've already pre-prepared this, but I'm using a live prompt. So this is pretty decent. Okay, it's given me an introduction, a presentation, a practice, some application, and a wrap-up and review. Very, very nice, okay? Easy enough to do. But actually, when I go a bit deeper into this, today we're going to talk about animals. But what kind of animals? I mean, it's given me a list here, but is this the list that I want? So I have to be very careful now. I have to go back and check that this is exactly what I want and add more to this. There's a lot more work that needs to be done. So in order to do this, we have to use a mnemonic, all right? So, or an acronym or an acrostic. And we use this called CREATE, all right? Now the C stands for character. The R is request. E is examples, A is adjustment, T type of output, and E again is extras. So let me show you how that works in practice. So remember, the task is to plan a lesson on animal vocabulary. So I'm going to give it a specific character. This is, I'm going to tell ChatGPT. So I'll let you have a quick read of that. But you will understand now that I've not just told what I want it to do. I've actually told it who it is. So it can now really target the information in that vast database of information that it has. And it's focusing on exactly who I am and then who it is to find out the correct information that I want. So I've given it a context. I've given it Vietnamese. I've given it a context about my students. They're lively. There's 30 of them in the class. They're monolingual. Okay. And I've got 5 years of experience, so it knows what I can handle in the classroom. Now I'm going to tell it what I want it to do now. So I want it to have 3 specific activities to present the vocabulary to my students. All right. Now I'm going to give it some examples. So the list of vocabulary is as follows. So I've given it 3, a list of vocabulary that we're teaching. This might be taken from my course book, but also I want to challenge the students, and I've added 3 here. Chameleon, orangutan, and armadillo, challenging vocabulary, but I've just added that because I want some that the students will understand and some that I might need to teach them. We then move on to the adjustments. So this is very important, isn't it? After you've taught some vocabulary, you need to make sure that all the students in the class understand the vocabulary that you've taught them. So you need to have a task that checks that understanding, all right? Then I think about how I want the output to be. So I want the output to be fun and engaging. I want them to appeal to my lively grade 4 Vietnamese students. This is important to me. And then anything extra. Now this is the key. This is the most, I would say, the most important thing of any prompt that you write. is this, and pay attention. Before we begin, ask me some questions. Now, this is fundamental. And as I said, we use the word game changer. This is a massive game changer because what ChatGPT will do by asking some questions is really hone in on exactly what you need. All right. So it will kind of act as a layman and ask you questions that you may have forgotten to ask yourself about the teaching process. It's fantastic. I'll show you an example right now in a moment. If you ask it, do you have any questions? It might say no. It might say yes. But if it says no, then you just move on and it will give you a plan. If you say, ask me some questions, then it will ask you questions. It won't say, no, I don't want to ask you any questions. And it's fundamental to getting an effective prompt. So this is what my prompt looks like. All right. Now you might be thinking, wow, that is a long prompt. That is a lot of work. But it is. But it is. I wouldn't say it's not. But what you put in, you get out. If you put in the work to your prompts, you will get out the output as an equivalent. Now, once you start writing these, it will take a bit of time. But as you write more and more and more, that time will be reduced. For example, you're a Vietnamese teacher of English with 5 years experience. That's going to stay the same pretty much for every prompt. So you don't need to change that. The last part is probably going to stay the same, particularly with asking questions. You're kind of just filling in the bits. And once you've done one or two, then you can actually start to repeat your prompts and use them over and over again. The other thing to think about is when you're writing prompts for ChatGPT is the environmental factor. It takes a lot of energy. In fact, some people have said that it would, every time you write a prompt, it's the equivalent of pouring a bottle of water out. Now, that's a lot of environmental impact. So you need to make sure that your prompts are effective, and you only need to write one prompt. If you're writing 5 prompts, you can see that you're doing 5 times the amount of work and energy required. So make sure that your prompts are effective for your teaching and for the environment. So let's put this one into ChatGPT and see what we come up with, and we can maybe compare. Let me find it. Give me a second. Here we go. So let me stick that one in. Before we begin, ask me some questions. This is interesting, isn't it? So I'll cut and paste these questions into the prompt here. And it says, how much time do you have for this vocabulary section? I didn't give it a time limit, right? Of course. Well, I've only got 30 minutes. Do you have access to flashcards, a projector, digital devices? Very good question. Flashcards. Are your students beginners or do they know some animal vocabulary? Well, they're grade 4. Let's say, well, they're mixed ability. Can students move around the classroom? Oh, okay, classroom setup. No, there's no space. And are your students responsive to games, songs, or storytelling? Definitely games. So let's pop that in and see what we get. So already we've started. Let's just look at activity 1. We've got a flashcard game. Show the flashcard, do some gestures, sounds, and then the concept check questions are there. So it's much more developed. Each activity with a concept check question. It's giving me the actual stages of the activity. It's giving me the time limit that I can play. And it's much more advanced in terms of the development of the lesson. So I would definitely recommend that you play with this, that you will share these prompts with you in the PowerPoint, and make sure that you're using the create mnemonic in order to write effective prompts. And I'll leave you with a quote from Zig Ziglar, that life is an echo. What you send out comes back. What you give is what you get. And this is equally important in ChatGPT or any large language model AI. All right, so that's all from me. If you've got any questions, please pop them into the Q&A, and maybe Blue and myself can have a look at those and answer those.
Brilliant. Cheers, Del. So before the Q&A, guys, again, thank you so much, Del. Really useful. And everyone, what I will say with what Del just shared with you, that is that's the cherry on top of your cake. You want to make a nice cake, don't you? You've got all the ingredients to make that nice cake, but that prompt or the key to writing and discussing with AI is all that cherry on top. Because if I lazily wrote a prompt compared to Del's very clear, concise, and detailed prompts, we're going to get very different responses. So I think that quote at the end of Del's presentation is very, very important. You get what you give, you reap what you sow. So the more effort you take and the more time you take with your prompts, the better quality of information you will receive back. And as you saw there with Del's example, maybe it's quite a long and lengthy prompt, but of course, copy and paste, save these prompts for the next day, the next week, where all you need to do is quickly change the template of what you've already detailed in that clear and thorough prompt. So again, thanks, Del. I think that's really important and a great way to effectively utilize AI. It's the final QR code of my session. And as you can see, this will allow you to download a PDF of everything that we have discussed today. So feel free to screen capture it, scan it, and download the PDF of today's session. I'll leave it up there for the next 10-15 seconds, and then I will open the floor with Miss Yang for any questions that you might have. And Del, are you going to stick around?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll be here right till the end.
Brilliant, much appreciated.
I've just realized I need to share my PowerPoint as well.
Yeah, that's my fault, everybody. I should have included Del's slides in mine, so it's
I'll do it now.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Del's going to do that in the background right now, guys. But in the meantime, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I hope that's been on for sufficient time.
Yeah.
And Zhang, yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you a lot, Del and Blue, for your very useful sharing information. And because this is a very hot topic, so we have got around 10,000 teachers join the workshop in the 3 platforms, Zoom, the fan page, and the YouTube channel of Tiếng Anh Global Success. Such a huge number of teachers interested in this topic. And we can say that our English teachers are all very innovative and creative and adaptive also. So I believe that all of them have apply AI in some parts of their teaching because English teachers in Vietnam and in other countries also are always the pioneer in adapting new methodology and new technologies in the teaching, and they all use AI. I believe that. But your sharing today is very helpful for them to know the ideas and principles to not only use AI but make use of it and know how to use it the correct way and appropriate way. And I would like to summarize Vietnamese a little bit for the teacher to look up. Yes. Kính thưa các thầy cô, thì phần vừa rồi thì thầy Blue và thầy Del đã chia sẻ rất nhiều những cái thông tin hữu ích về việc là sử dụng AI trong việc dạy học của chúng ta như thế nào. Vâng, và một trong những cái điểm mà em có thể nhìn thấy ở đây thực sự là rất hữu ích, đó là AI có thể giúp chúng ta hoàn toàn có thể sáng tạo thêm những cái hoạt động bổ trợ, củng cố cho những cái nội dung trong sách giáo khoa. Bởi vì như các thầy cô cũng đã biết rằng là sách giáo khoa của chúng ta vì là sách giáo khoa nên nó phải tuân thủ theo những cái cấu trúc, những cái quy tắc rất là chặt chẽ, và đôi khi những cái hoạt động thì vì cũng hạn chế về mặt từ ngữ, về mặt không gian nên trên một trang sách không thể thể hiện được mọi thứ. Nhưng với công cụ AI thì các thầy cô hoàn toàn có thể sáng tạo thêm những cái hoạt động để có thể mở rộng hoặc củng cố những nội dung ở trong sách giáo khoa để cái giờ học có thể vui vẻ hơn, hào hứng hơn và mang lại sự hứng thú cho học sinh. Và phần trình bày của thầy Blue và Dell vừa rồi thì chúng ta cũng có thể thấy rằng AI rõ ràng là một công cụ và là một nguồn tài nguyên rất là hữu ích cho chúng ta, nhưng mà nó không phải là câu trả lời cho tất cả mọi vấn đề và cũng không thể nào thay thế cái vai trò vị trí của giáo viên được, mà chỉ có thể là một cái công cụ hỗ trợ để giúp cho giáo viên có thể triển khai các cái giờ dạy nó hiệu quả hơn và tích cực hơn, hào hứng hơn mà thôi. Cái việc mà xây dựng những cái prompt cho AI cũng là một việc rất quan trọng, như thầy ở Dell có vừa chia sẻ. Ban đầu thì có thể hơi mất thời gian một chút trong cái việc là đưa ra những cái prompt rất là chi tiết, nhưng những cái prompt đó chúng ta có thể dùng đi dùng lại và chỉ cần thay đổi một số nội dung trong đó rất nhiều lần để chúng ta có thể có được những cái kết quả đầu ra đúng như cái mong muốn của chúng ta đối với AI. Một trong những cái tác dụng của AI như thầy Blue có chia sẻ đó là việc là giúp học sinh, khuyến khích học sinh có thể ở nhà có thể thực hành các kỹ năng một cách tốt hơn, cũng như là khuyến khích học sinh nói nhiều hơn và có thêm những cái phần hoạt động, những cái nội dung mở rộng trong sách. Vậy thì cũng nhân đây thì em cũng như chia sẻ ban đầu thì chúng em sẽ xin khoảng 10-15 phút giới thiệu cho các thầy cô một cái ứng dụng học tập được phát triển dành riêng cho Global Success với rất nhiều những cái tích hợp về công nghệ AI để chú trọng đến cái việc là giúp học sinh có thể củng cố các cái kỹ năng, đặc biệt là kỹ năng nói ở nhà. So now I will introduce a little bit about a Global Speak and Learning app for students of Global Success. Em sẽ xin phép được chia sẻ màn hình tới các thầy cô ngay bây giờ. Thì ứng dụng này có tên gọi là Global Speak. Đây là một ứng dụng mà nhà xuất bản đã phát triển để hỗ trợ và dành riêng cho các học sinh sử dụng bộ sách tiếng Anh Global Success. Ứng dụng này thì có những điểm gì đặc biệt ạ? Trước tiên thì đây sẽ là trong cái phần này thì em sẽ chia sẻ một chút giới thiệu tổng quan về ứng dụng và cũng chia sẻ một số cái trải nghiệm với thầy cô về những cái tính năng và nội dung của ứng dụng này. Và đây chắc chắn sẽ là một cái công cụ rất là powerful và hữu ích đối với học sinh, đặc biệt là với những em mà học với bộ sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh Global Success. Vậy thì có những cái điểm gì đáng chú ý với cái app học tập này ạ? Trước tiên thì ngoài cái việc là app này đang ứng dụng những cái công nghệ hiện đại nhất, trong đó có AI trong hỗ trợ những cái kỹ năng cho học sinh, thì và sẽ tăng cường hỗ trợ người dạy và người học đối với bộ sách tiếng Anh Global Success, thì cái điểm mà nổi bật nhất như em có vừa chia sẻ là cái ứng dụng này đang được xây dựng bám sát với các nội dung trong sách giáo khoa Global Success. Tuy nhiên nó không phải là bản số hóa của sách giáo khoa, mà nó đang đưa vào rất nhiều những cái nội dung củng cố mở rộng với những ngữ liệu mới, những hình ảnh mới, những cái tính năng mới để giúp học sinh có thể có được những bài học linh hoạt, đa dạng, cũng như là có thể sử dụng AI để có thể củng cố các kỹ năng ở nhà, đặc biệt trong đó là kỹ năng nói. Và ở đây thì ngoài kiến thức kỹ năng thì những cái nội dung ở trong app này cũng chú trọng đến việc là phát triển năng lực phẩm chất cũng như là kỹ năng sống và những cách ứng xử cho các em. Thế thì cấu trúc của một bài học trong ứng dụng Global Speak này sẽ là gì? Ứng dụng này sẽ đi theo cái đường hướng là test, teach và test, tức là với mỗi bài học học sinh đi vào tương ứng với từng unit của sách giáo khoa thì học sinh sẽ được làm một cái bài test đầu vào, và kết quả của bài test thì sẽ giúp điều hướng học sinh đến những cái trình độ tương ứng, ví dụ như là cơ bản hay nâng cao. Sau đó thì học sinh sẽ được học tập thông qua các video hoạt hình, là những cái video mới, ngữ liệu mới so với sách giáo khoa, với những cái nội dung củng cố và thậm chí là mở rộng hơn, nâng cao hơn một chút so với những em khá giỏi, hoặc là với những cái lớp mà các em đã hoàn thành hoạt động học ở trong sách giáo khoa nhanh hơn so với cả thời lượng 35-40 phút của các em. Và trong đó thì chú trọng đến các học luyện tập đa dạng, đặc biệt là kỹ năng nói. Và sau khi có bài kiểm tra đầu vào, sau khi học tập qua các video, các bài quiz và những cái hình thức hoạt động đa dạng khác, thì các em sẽ được kiểm tra đầu ra bằng một bài self-check để đảm bảo là các em đã được củng cố kiến thức cũng như là nắm chắc kiến thức và nắm được những kiến thức mở rộng ở trong bài học này. Và cuối mỗi bài học sẽ là 1 đến 2 cái game để các em có thể là một cái hình thức giải trí và cũng là tăng thêm cái sự hứng thú cho các em. Nhưng mà trong chính cái game này cũng lại một lần nữa các em đang củng cố lại những cái kiến thức mà các em đã được học. Và cái ứng dụng này nó là một cái giá trị gia tăng đối với các em học sinh đang sử dụng bộ sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh Global Success. Và các em khi mà cào cái mã cào bìa 2 của một quyển sách giáo khoa ấy, thì các em sẽ được tặng cái tài khoản truy cập vào ứng dụng này. Thực sự đây sẽ là một cái giá trị gia tăng rất là hữu ích cho các em, và đồng thời cũng là mang lại thêm quyền lợi cho những cái em mà chúng ta đang sử dụng những cái sách giáo khoa mà là sách giáo khoa thật của nhà xuất bản giáo dục Việt Nam. Vâng, và các tính năng nổi bật như em cũng có vừa chia sẻ đâu đó, rất nhiều những cái trò chơi mang lại thật nhiều sự hứng thú dành cho các em, và có cái hệ thống đánh giá, hệ thống điểm thưởng huy hiệu và xếp hạng để giúp các em có cái sự hứng thú nhiều hơn trong cái việc học với ứng dụng này. AI nhận diện giọng nói giúp các em có thể luyện tập ở nhà cái kỹ năng nói. Như các thầy cũng đã biết là với một cái tiết học với thời gian hạn chế ở trên lớp thì giáo viên không thể kiểm tra được tất cả các em và có thể góp ý cho các em, chỉnh sửa cho các em về phát âm hay về kỹ năng nói. Thế nhưng với ứng dụng này các em hoàn toàn có thể ở nhà luyện tập một mình với app, và app sẽ đưa ra những cái phản hồi để các em có thể điều chỉnh, chỉnh sửa phát âm của mình, kỹ năng nói của mình chuẩn xác và trôi chảy hơn. Rất nhiều những cái tính năng nổi bật khác như em có thể chia sẻ màn hình, như là đánh giá bài test để đưa ra cái cấp độ bài phù hợp, rồi những cái tính năng về lưu trữ tổng hợp điểm, rồi những tính năng về game với những cái xếp hạng để tăng cái tính cạnh tranh và sự hứng thú gắn bó với các em đối với việc học tiếng Anh trên app này. Hệ thống sẽ được đăng nhập qua ở một ứng dụng ở trên App Store hoặc là trên CH Play với Android. Với cái hình thức đăng nhập thì cũng tương tự giống như những cái app học tập khác. Và ở đây thì em cũng xin nói qua một chút về cấu trúc bài học nó sẽ được đi như thế nào. Với mỗi unit thì các em sẽ được đi như vừa rồi em có chia sẻ là đi từ một bài kiểm tra đầu vào là test để đánh giá cái mức độ các em nắm được cái kiến thức bài học tương ứng ở trên lớp như thế nào để đưa các em vào lộ trình học tập phù hợp là cơ bản hay nâng cao. Sau đó thì các em sẽ được học các cái kiến thức, củng cố lại các kiến thức cũ và mở rộng một số kiến thức mới thông qua những cái hoạt động như là xem video bài học mới, thế rồi luyện tập các kỹ năng nghe nói đọc viết, và cuối cùng sẽ là một bài kiểm tra đầu ra trước khi các em nhận được phần thưởng là một cái game rất là hứng thú và thú vị ở cuối bài học. Thì cấu trúc này cũng khá tương tự ở lớp 1, lớp 2 so với lớp 3, 4, 5. Lớp 3 đến 5 thì cái lesson nó được chia theo sát các cái lesson trong sách giáo khoa, đi từ vựng cấu trúc cho đến phần phát âm. Trung học thì cũng sẽ tương ứng với sách giáo khoa của cấp trung học cơ sở, trung phổ thông. Thế và một lần nữa như em vừa nói, cái test đầu vào sẽ là những gì ạ? Là các câu hỏi kiểm tra để đánh giá kiến thức, kỹ năng tương ứng bài học của các con, để mục đích là có thể xác định trình độ cơ bản hay nâng cao để đưa các con vào cái lộ trình học phù hợp. Thì cái test đầu vào này có cái sự hỗ trợ rất là hiệu quả từ AI để có thể đánh giá được cái mức độ hiểu bài, nắm bắt được kiến thức của các em học sinh. Phần cung cấp kiến thức sẽ là những hình thức đa dạng khác nhau, có thể là một video. Một số video được tận dụng từ những gì đã có của Global Success trước đây, ví dụ như là video bài song, bài chan ở tiểu học. Tuy nhiên thì cũng có rất nhiều những cái video mới được xây dựng để các bạn có thể học thêm những cái kiến thức mới, từ vựng mới, cấu trúc mới thông qua những cái tình huống giao tiếp rất là quen thuộc trong cuộc sống hàng ngày của các em, ở gia đình, ở nhà trường, ở môi trường xung quanh, để các em có thể tiếp thu những cái kiến thức đó một cách tự nhiên và ứng với cái tình huống thực tế, để các em có thể nhớ lâu hơn và ứng dụng vào thực tế một cách tốt hơn. Với tiểu học là như vậy, và với trung học thì là cũng tương tự, có thể là qua video hoặc qua những bài quiz. Vâng, một số những cái hoạt động, một số hình ảnh về app như các thầy cô thấy, một cái video hoàn toàn phát triển mới nội dung trên app này. Và một vài hình ảnh để các thầy có thể hình dung được nội dung app này có những gì ạ. Thế và ở trên đây thì học sinh sẽ được luyện tập kỹ năng nói như thế nào. Ví dụ như ở đây các em có thể và nhắc lại.
I like pasta.
Nếu đúng ạ sẽ là được 5 sao ạ. Còn nếu mà không chuẩn lắm thì sao ạ?
The pizza is yummy.
The pizza is yummy.
Vâng, đúng không ạ? Nếu mà các em học sinh mà trả lời đúng thì sẽ được 5 sao với việc là đánh giá các em đã phát âm chuẩn rồi. Còn nếu từ nào các em phát âm chưa chuẩn thì app cũng sẽ đánh giá sao thấp hơn, cũng như là chỉ ra đâu là các từ mà các em cần phải luyện tập lại hoặc phát âm lại. Thì việc này sẽ hỗ trợ các em rất tốt trong việc là luyện tập cái khả năng phát âm của mình, cũng như là kỹ năng nói một cách trôi chảy. Một số hoạt động học tập khác ở trên app, những cái này thì đang dành cho cấp trung học, ở những cái bài đọc hiểu dài hơn. Thế và như em đã nói ở đầu, một trong những cái điểm rất nổi bật ở app này đó là một hệ thống game cực kỳ là phong phú đa dạng, cũng như là mang lại rất nhiều sự hứng thú cho các em. Sau những cái hoạt động kiểm tra học tập thì các em sẽ được thưởng những cái trò chơi theo đúng cái tâm lý lứa tuổi của các em, và sẽ có được những cái phần thưởng như là huy hiệu, như là điểm thưởng, như là bảng xếp hạng để tăng cường cái sự gắn kết với app, cũng như là cái sự cạnh tranh trong học tập của các em. Mặc dù là app được phát triển cho học sinh nhưng giáo viên hoàn toàn cũng có thể sử dụng với những mục đích khác nhau. Ví dụ như là tham khảo những ý tưởng liên quan đến các hoạt động, các câu hỏi trong triển khai từng bài học. Thế và có thể sử dụng một số bài kiểm tra đầu vào hoặc đầu ra để kiểm tra thường xuyên các em đối với nội dung từng bài học. Có thể sử dụng những cái video tình huống trong này để làm một cái video dẫn nhập cho mỗi bài học, hoặc là có thể lấy một bài hoạt động trong này sử dụng đan xen với các hoạt động sẵn có các cô đã thiết kế trên lớp để giờ học có thêm cái sự tương tác cũng như là sinh động hơn. Giao bài tập về nhà cho học sinh qua việc là yêu cầu các em làm một số bài hoạt động ở trên app, hoặc là có thể tạo sân chơi, sự ganh đua cho em ở trong cùng một lớp, cùng một trường hoặc là cùng một phòng hay là sở thông qua cái hệ thống điểm, hệ thống xếp hạng. Và với các em học sinh đương nhiên rồi sẽ là việc các em có thể tự học tập, tự rèn luyện ở nhà với những kế hoạch riêng của mình, được luyện nói nhiều hơn, đã tự tin hơn, vì là ở nhà một mình với app thì sẽ không sợ bị các bạn đánh giá là phát âm chưa tốt, đúng không ạ? Và có rất nhiều những hoạt động vui hơn để các em có thể tương tác qua các cái hoạt động và qua cái game ở trong app này. Và cũng như là về trong tương lai thì nhà xuất bản cũng dự kiến là sẽ đưa thêm những cái dạng bài kiểm tra đánh giá để các em có thể làm quen với những cái định dạng bài thi quốc tế, và cuối cùng là các em có thể thực hiện các hoạt động của giáo viên giao, cũng như là có thể học mọi lúc mọi nơi để nâng cao kỹ năng tiếng Anh của mình. Vâng, đó là những gì mà em muốn chia sẻ về app Global Speak, và trong thời gian tới thì chúng em sẽ đưa ra thêm những cái thông tin cụ thể hơn, và ở trong phía khảo sát cuối tập huấn thì chúng em cũng có đưa ra câu hỏi, nếu thầy cô mà muốn quan tâm và muốn trải nghiệm app này thì vui lòng để lại những thông tin để ở thời gian tới khi mà app được đưa vào thử nghiệm một cách rộng rãi thì sẽ mời các thầy cô cùng trải nghiệm. Và kế hoạch là tháng 9 năm nay thì nhà xuất bản sẽ ra mắt đồng loạt với các cấp lớp từ 1 đến 12 để các học sinh và các giáo viên có thể vào trải nghiệm với app học tập rất là mới mẻ và sống động này. Vâng, đó là toàn bộ những phần trình bày và chia sẻ với các thầy cô về ứng dụng học tập cực kỳ là hữu ích dành cho học sinh mà nhà xuất bản đang phát triển trong bộ sách Tiếng Anh Global Success. Và ngay sau đây thì em xin phép được quay trở lại với phần Q&A cũng như thảo luận của buổi hôm nay với chủ đề về AI trong dạy học và kiểm tra đánh giá. Xin mời các thầy cô sẽ đặt những cái câu hỏi liên quan đến phần chia sẻ của diễn giả trong chat box và phần comment để diễn giả có thể giúp thầy cô giải đáp các cái câu hỏi của mình. Cảm ơn các thầy cô ạ. Hi, Giáo and Blue. So now we went back to the Q&A section and to answer some questions from our teachers today. But until now, I have seen no question related to the sharing, maybe because the sharing was so clear and helpful. So until now, I haven't seen any question about the sharing. Các thầy cô ơi, mình có câu hỏi nào liên quan đến phần chia sẻ của hai diễn giả ngày hôm nay không ạ? Để các diễn giả có thể chia sẻ đến các thầy cô cái giải đáp thắc mắc với các thầy cô ạ. Ở đây thì em mới nhận được một câu trả lời của các thầy cô về app ạ. Như em cũng có vừa chia sẻ là tháng 9 năm nay thì nhà xuất bản sẽ ra mắt đồng loạt từ khối lớp 1 cho đến lớp 12. Tức là tất cả các bạn học sinh từ lớp 1 lớp 12 đã có thể vào app để sử dụng từ tháng 9 năm nay rồi ạ. So any questions related to the sharing today, teachers? Vâng ạ, rất nhiều thầy cô quan tâm đến app Global Speak ạ, chắc chắn rồi ạ. Chúng em sẽ gửi tới các thầy cô thông tin về việc trải nghiệm app này trong thời gian tới. So just we will wait for some minutes to see if any questions.
Sure.
Vâng, ở trong phần khảo sát hôm nay thì ngoài phiếu khảo sát về nội dung của hội thảo cũng như là việc là mời các thầy cô quan tâm và trải nghiệm app thì chúng em cũng có thêm một số câu hỏi ở phía cuối. Hiện tại thì chúng em cũng nhận được những phản hồi của thầy cô là có nhiều hoạt động ở trong sách giáo khoa thì các thầy cô còn cảm thấy là khó khăn khi tổ chức việc giảng dạy trên lớp, hoặc là chưa biết triển khai thế nào cho hiệu quả. Thì chúng em cũng đang có kế hoạch là xây dựng những cái video bài học minh họa để hỗ trợ thêm cho các thầy cô, nên là cũng rất mong nhận được cái chia sẻ từ thầy cô là các thầy cô cảm thấy những hoạt động nào là khó khăn nhất để chúng em có thể xây dựng được những cái nội dung phù hợp và đáp ứng với cả mong mỏi của thầy cô ạ. Blue and Del, there's a question from teachers that please recommend some free AI apps in education so that teachers can utilize it.
Yeah, I think Blue's mentioned obviously, and we've used Padlet today. Really love Padlet. One of the apps that I was using quite extensively was an app called Quizlet. I'm sure some of you are aware of this, but what's really cool about Quizlet, it gives you lots of variation of the kind of, if you're creating activities for the classroom, it gives you lots of variation of the type of activities that you can use. Flashcards, it creates quizzes, and then there's a new learn mode, which is AI powered, which I would recommend. So definitely Quizlet, and I'll find the actual URL in a moment. Give me a second. I'll put it into the chat. Blue?
Yeah, for me, I've not got a specific answer, but what I would suggest is, again, a simple Google every week of latest AI tools to use. They don't even have to be specifically for teaching all the time, but they can transition and be sort of tailored around teaching. So, for example, Quizlet is something you could do at home with friends as much as you could utilize it in the classroom. But again, for me, and very much Dell as well, it's just about exploration. I'm sure if I said to you guys in the chat, which you were very good at throughout the session, write your suggestion in the chat, we would get a number of different ones. So I haven't got something off the top of my head. It's more about just taking the opportunity to explore, find out what's out there, and a simple Google search every week to stay on top of all the trends, because they're always changing. And that's what's fascinating about this whole AI movement, really.
Yeah, and to that point though, Blue, I would definitely try to stay updated. But when you're using something, so you can see, like, I'm not sure how long Padlet has been around, right? But Padlet itself will always be being updated and new functionalities to it. My real recommendation is find a tool that you like, and you can see Blue likes Padlet. He uses it extensively, and he's an expert. He's an absolute expert at it. There's nothing on there that he doesn't know about. And become that expert in a tool that you really feel comfortable using and that your students like. Keep on top of things, keep adding to your toolbox, but when you find something that works, that you really like, become an expert and be prepared to teach other people to use it. That's when you know that you are an expert. So I would definitely, because there is, like I said, there is so much out there, maybe even too much, for you to really keep up to speed on.
Yes, I believe that the tools that you have shared can be used for in general, but there's some questions about like teachers want to ask about if they want to support in for example grammar periods, or when designing speaking and reading skills. Is there any differences, or are there any specific tools to help in supporting in designing things for specific skills lesson?
Well, yeah, there are, and someone alluded to in the chat earlier. And if you're on YouTube, you're probably privy to all the video advertisements that pop up as well. But Grammarly, a very good example for using, utilizing in terms of grammar improvement and refinement. But again, as in terms of the rich resources that are out there, Grammarly is not one that I have sort of used myself. So for me to vouch for it would be a little bit blind, because I know the name, I know it's popular, but in terms of refining grammar for me and improvements, I just simply use ChatGTP. Because what you find a lot with these platforms is a number of them wear a number of different hats that can do a number of different things. Now, I'm not saying ChatGTP is the best out there, because I'm sure it's not. So you're going to find those specialized AI tools for the specific requirements, such as Grammarly for grammar. And I'm sure there's other ones for speaking and everything else. Example, I use ChatGTP for speaking, and that was my example today because it's openly available. But I'm sure, just as you've shown there, Miss Zhang, in-house, a number of different companies are producing their own exclusive voice recognition and feedback tools. So there's not a one size fits all for everything, and there are specific apps for specific purposes. But I myself, I'm not going to vouch for them if I've not used them myself. I don't know if Dell has any specific ones that you've used, Dell, in the past.
No, not really. No, I haven't used Grammarly or anything like that. The one thing I would say about using AI for writing is, I find that when you ask it to produce something, it's very generic with what it produces. So be careful that I'm scared that a lot of the AIs will use their own voice, if you like. So you need to tell it to not use its own voice and to use a different voice. So when I in the prompt, I have the T as type of output. Now, if you ask it, say if you ask it for like 5 ideas to teach vocabulary, for example, it will come up with I can't remember what the terminology is, but it will come up with like a topic, colon, and then it will tell you an activity. And it does that for pretty much everything that you ask it to do. It uses a certain, I guess we call it a genre, if you like, of writing. And you find if you use it extensively to come up with ideas, it will change the way that you actually write. And then you can see this is very easy to check if a student is actually cheating, because you get to recognize how ChatGPT writes and not how a student writes. So I would use it for correction, but to actually get it to create stuff, it's a little bit dangerous in that respect. I don't know if I've answered the question there, but yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful tool for sort of checking for errors and similar to what Grammarly does. But you really want to maintain your own voice as well.
Yeah, I agree. Zhang, there's a question there. Do you mind if I answer it about chance?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so let's just quickly jump on ChatGPT and see if we can answer this one as live, okay? Because again, I don't know the specific answer to the question. How can AI help us with chance? Well, let's find out. So let's say, I don't know, I'm not going to have time to be as thorough in my prompt as I'd like to be with Dell, but let's just say I'm teaching my grade 4 class about animals. Please provide, let's say, please provide 4 examples of chants that include the following animals. And again, I don't know what you want to do specifically with chants, but this is a nice place to start. So let's say in your book, you've got 6 animals. You've got fox, dog. Let's say you've got lion, not lino, monkey, mouse, and let's say, give me one more, elephant. Let's go elephant. Okay. Again, let's just straight away, very simple prompt, but let's see as a template what it provides us. Because I haven't given it much information. I didn't say it was an English class for ESL, for languages of learners of a second language. But again, it's simple, but it does come back with something that we can work with and we can develop. The animal sounds chant, dog goes woof, woof, woof. Lion goes mighty roar. So as a starting point, and that for me is when I use ChatGPT or any AI, I use it. This one's quite nice. The fox is sneaky, creeping around. The dog is barking, making a sound. But what I would say is use it as a starting point, as a foundation. When I'm developing now any of my sessions, any of my workshops, I throw ideas at ChatGPT and say, hey, give me something to begin with to sort of build upon. The ideas are mine. The creative sort of zest is coming from me, but I like to use it in a way to get me beginning. So if I wanted to know about chats in the classroom, I would ask for model template for examples that I can then maybe change, I can modify, or even I can have a conversation with AI to make it specific to the needs. Maybe you want your students to not only practice the new animals, but maybe practice specific sounds as well. So once you've developed that initial chant with the animals, say, hey, I'm looking for this long sound here, this short vowel sound there, final consonant sound. So please include those words into the chant as well. And then together you collaborate and see what AI can produce. That would be my suggestion on how to create chants and sort of slowly walk through the process with AI.
Yeah, another question that I think that's quite interesting. Like the teachers asked that, can you give me the way to double check the information that ChatGPT provides? So do you have any advice? Yep.
Yes, yeah, I've got some good advice. So in the extras, so if you remember it when I said about the last E is extras, and I said ask me some questions before you begin. A really easy way to check whether AI is telling the truth is to ask it to show its findings. So show its workings. So I don't know if you remember when you studied maths, you always had to it wasn't enough to come up with an answer, right? So if a teacher asked you to do some long division, for example, you had to show how you got from, divide 132 by 8. You had to show how you got to the answer. It wasn't enough just to write the answer. Well, similarly, you can ask ChatGPT to do that by, in the extras or after you've got your prompt, is to say, show me your workings. How did you get to this answer? Now, it's actually started to predict this. So if you ask it to do research online, for example, it will often, if it's searching various websites, it will give you the websites where it's got the information from automatically. But ask it to do that. Say, where did you get this information from? Show me your workings. And it will tell you exactly where it got it from. And then it will say, well, actually, I just made it up, or I used my own initiative. And then why, that it's maybe not the kind of information that you want. So then you would ask it to be very authentic or to look for references and give you references as well.
Okay, thank you. So a common question that I have a lot of teachers are concerning about that how do you find the resources for listening input, or how I can use AI tools to make educational videos and audio to use in our lessons?
If I understood the question correctly, so you want the AI to produce videos, or you're going to feed it a video?
That means that because teachers like the input, the resources for listening and like video watching for students. So they are asking if there are any AI tools to help them create or produce the listening audio and also educational videos for teaching.
Yeah, so for audio, one of the tools that I've used is called Natural Reader. You can put a text into you cut and paste your text into the platform, and it will read it to you. And you can choose a variety of different accents. You can choose male, female. If you want to download it and use it again, you might have to pay for it. If you want the whole, similar with any of these platforms, they're kind of like there's a paid model and a free model, right? If you want the full functionality, you have to pay for it. But for basic tools that you're using there and then in the classroom, you can use this Natural Reader. Yeah.
So I believe that besides the tool to like have to turn the speech, to text to speech, so teachers also need to create prompts in ChatGPT, for example, to create the script for the listening first, and then they will turn the script into speech, right? So
yeah,
the key thing is that the teachers still need to like master creating prompts in different AI platforms to get the text input first, and then turn it into the audio or video, right?
Yeah, and I have previously, just in this past week and a half, actually, used again ChatGPT, but I asked it, if I upload a short video, can you summarize the video content for me? And it did it. So again, that was something I just did by trial and error. I didn't realize it would work. I didn't know if it would work, but I simply asked the question. So again, that's another thing I would suggest. Just every now and again, go back and just ask the question, can you do this? Do you have the ability to do this? And again, it might lie straight away, but actually when you get to the core of it and actually try it, you'll get that immediate feedback, whether it did it or not. Another one, is where sometimes it will suggest, would you like this information in a PowerPoint? And I'm like, yeah, of course, that's going to be great. And then you ask for that PowerPoint. It's a very simplified template, black and white, old school, no bells and whistles, no color, nothing aesthetically pleasing. So it can do these things, but to the level it can do it will certainly vary.
A very specific question, but I believe that you can help somehow. Like, how can I apply AI in the speaking context for a class of 40 students in a 40-minute period?
But for me, that brings it away from AI. In that, again, AI is a content creator. It's going to create content that you still have to utilize. So in a classroom of 40 students in 40 minutes, time is against you, and the number of students is always going to be against you. Okay. So as much as AI can provide content, it's not going to provide anything beyond what you can do in terms of managing that time to perfect and enhance your student speaking.
So in that respect, yeah, I mean, there's times when you need to use AI and there's times when you don't. And I think in that, it possibly, well, how is AI going to help you with that? Probably not. What it can help you with is type in, give it a prompt, tell it your situation, tell it your challenge. I've got 40 minutes to teach 40 students some speaking activities. I'm an experienced teacher of English in a Vietnamese context. My class is mixed ability. Give it all the information you can, and then say, do you have any ideas? Do you have any suggestions of what I could do in a class like in this context? And it will pull all the information and advice it's got from all over the world and give you some support and advice that way. But in fact, using it to actually teach is not what we're trying to do. Like Blue mentioned earlier, use it as a tool to help you.
Yes, there is a question follow-up answer Blue before related to Chan teaching. So the question of the teacher is that they already have the chant in the textbook, and what they need to know is how to apply AI to teach that chant lessons effectively. But maybe it's the same like the question you have just answered before, that because it's in the class, so maybe AI is just the content creator platform. So
yeah, but to that point, Zhang, again, if you've got the iTools for Tiếng Anh Global Success, you can screen capture that very specific chant and suggest, you can upload it, and again, give it the unit, give it the level of students, mixed ability, how many students, all of that key information, and say, how can I build on this? The students are going to perform this chant in class. Have you got any suggestions of how we can further make students collaborate, use their English, and enhance this as an activity to take it from a 5-minute chant to a 25-minute piece of a lesson? And then it's just going to give you feedback and suggestions, some of which you will use, some of you think that's not useful, but that's all it's there for. It's like, again, we all know this, but it's like a really, really enhanced Google search, which gives you specific points to the specific questions you ask. And the fact that you have the opportunity to actually capture your lesson, upload it, and it can summarize that key point to give you feedback is brilliant. It's so useful. But beyond that, it's not going to change the way you approach chants, but it's certainly going to give you effective ways that you can implement in the class, but it's not going to do your job.
Yeah, and I mean, when I'm thinking about teaching myself, you doing chants are fun. You want to stand in front of the class and get that energy, and you don't want an AI to do that for you. You don't want to press play on a recording device or on your computer, or and then an AI voice comes out and starts the chant for you. You want to do it yourself. It's fun. It's the best part of teaching is doing all these things. Similar to you with the karaoke for teaching a song. I mean, nobody goes to karaoke on their own, right? Well, maybe they do, but you go to karaoke because you want to sing with your friends. It's a thing that you want to do together, and you don't necessarily need but you need the lyrics. That's all you need when you have a karaoke. And sometimes you don't, if you all know the words. Singing something together is communal. You want to avoid using AI. Use it to maybe create the lyrics for you, but you're not really, usually a karaoke is a song that you know anyway and that you've practiced. So yeah, I mean, think about when you're using AI. You don't have to use it for everything.
Yeah.
Actually, until now, there are a lot of questions, but because we are a little bit over the time, so I just said we will answer in 5 more minutes.
Sure.
To answer more of the teachers before we end the session. So there is a question that could you give more details about how we could use AI for the skills assessment, like how to assess it, students' skills in English? And following up with that question, there's another question a little bit related to this question, is that can you suggest some face-to-face AI tools to have face-to-face speaking practice?
So sorry, Blue. So just to jump in. So with a face-to-face speaking practice, I don't have any recommendations at the moment. And the reason I don't is this is something that you need to spend quite a bit of time researching. There's lots of paid models out there, because some of these tools they need to be checked. They need to be thoroughly monitored to make sure that they're educational, that they're appropriate, that the language that they're using is correct, and they're using, like I said, appropriate language, particularly as today we're talking mainly about young learners. So this is very important that there are some safety checks done on these kind of AI tools as well. So I'm not going to give any recommendations for a face-to-face chatbot kind of idea, apart from the one that was presented earlier, which is a pronunciation checker. But for a face-to-face one, then no, I don't know any that I can speak to.
Yeah, and on that note, again, with my example earlier in the session, just simply having the ability to converse with AI in itself is a great way to do some self-learning and practice with pronunciation. Because let's be honest, at home, that's always been the thing about studying English that's been difficult for students, making sure that whilst they're practicing their speaking on them by themselves, they're doing it correctly. And you can get that immediate feedback as simple as using ChatGPT or speaking to your phone and see if it understands what you're trying to say to it. So it doesn't have to be a specific app for that specific purpose for it to deliver the same results. And I found that a lot with speaking to Google and Siri. And I encourage all my students to do that. In terms of assessment, again, I'm repeating the same template answer for a number of questions we've had, but it's going to produce content for you to deliver, but it's not going to do the assessment itself. We're not quite there yet, and nor should we be, okay? Because again, we're losing that human connection of where, at the end of the day, even myself as an IELTS examiner, right? There's a number of ones now where it can be conducted online. But when it comes to the speaking, it's still face-to-face, human-to-human, okay? Again, that might change, but at the moment, that human connection needs to be there. And it's the same with assessments. Whether they're in-house at your school, you will have your own rubric, your own criteria on how to score your students. Or whether it might be an international examination, such as the Cambridge examinations for young learners. You can align your book's content with the example I showed you with that specific examination, and it will do its best to cater for that and create content accordingly. But in terms of delivering that assessment, it's still going to be old school. It's still going to be teacher to students. Again, that might change, and you might find an AI that allows it itself to do the assessments for you. And there will be ones out there that offer feedback. I know a number of IELTS tools, for example, that give students feedback on their projective score, their predicted score, but they're still missing that human touch and connection for that human to see the nuances of what their delivery is to give them that real score, which in the IELTS, for example, is very, very important. Because I know from my experience, when I get a student or candidate delivering a very good answer, but it's very robotic, well, their score is going to be lower than a student or candidate that gives lesser English, but more authentically. So all of these factors need to be put in place, but long answer, but a bit shorter. We've seen how we can use it to create assessment resources. But in terms of actually producing the assessment itself, I think, again, that's where the human touch comes back in, and I don't want that to be avoided.
Yeah, and just to add to that, when I think about assessment, I mean, the formative, summative assessment, great for writing summative assessments, potentially, if you give it your data of what you've been teaching. And then summative assessments, you can add that to your prompts as well, and ask it to do that, or it might even do it for you. And this is going back, because I don't think we answered this question earlier about grammar teaching. So I just very quickly have typed in a prompt to give you an example of what I would do if I was teaching some grammar. So here you can see I made this prompt very quickly. You're a Vietnamese teacher of English, 5 years experience, grade 5. You want a lesson on the present perfect. I want the discovery approach, and I want you to use Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. Ask me some questions before you begin. Now, what's nice about this is the questions that it asks. It's already asking me about assessment, if you like, or certainly like what level students are on the CEFR. So it's got that ability that to look at that already. Is it their first time using it? Again, I forgot about my timing. So the next time I write the prompt, I'll always be adding timing. So it's making me better at writing prompts as well. Do you want it to reflect Vietnamese culture or more international? Really nice. So you want it to obviously potentially to reflect Vietnamese culture, the approach, and then assessment and outcomes, which it's already asking about assessment. Again, very intuitive and very detailed. So I answer those questions, and now I've got a really nice lesson on have you ever, present perfect for experience, some pre-task, some while, and some post. And then at the end, assessment and outcomes. It's given me this formative assessment at the end of the lesson, like a can-do statement. Students can answer, and I can check this. And if I can tick this for all of my students, then I can be sure that that the assessment of my lesson is good, and also then my students have been assessed to the standard that I would think that they should be. So again, I would always go back to the prompt. If you write great prompts, you will get great results that are thorough and even take into account things like assessment as well.
Yes, I can agree more with you, Del and Blue, that AI can provide the contents, can be the resource for students, for teachers, for the ideas, but it cannot replace teacher in like directly assessing the students, right? And one more thing I would like to add regarding the face-to-face speaking practice, as I shared before, our app, learning app, Global Speak, will, for the student, it will have students to practice speaking at home, especially following the content in the Global Success textbook. So the student can like talk with the app so that it can like make some assessment and give some feedback about how correct the pronunciation is or how fluency the speaking is. So this will be very helpful for students in like practicing the speaking skill at home.
Yeah, and perfect for that. Definitely. Yeah. It looks really great.
Yeah, the very last question are very like the same question of a lot of teachers. That can you, Del and Blue, share with us some sample or some model prompts for like generating lesson plans, for ideas for grammar period, for assessment, a lot of things. Can you share more model prompts with our teachers today?
So I've just put two of the prompts that I used today into the chat box. So if people want to copy those and then adapt them for themselves, then please do. Remember to put your timings, and always remember, ask me some questions before you begin, and you will start then to understand what it's looking for to make the correct lessons, and then you'll start to write them into your prompts as well.
Yes, okay, so that's the end of our session today. Thank you a lot, Del and Blue, for your very useful sharing, a lot of practical information, like step-to-step guidance for our teachers, like how to use AI in teaching English, how not to utilize it, and how to create the perfect prompt, the useful prompt for content creating to support their teaching. And again, thank you a lot for your sharing today, and we look forward to your sharing in the next session in the future. And I hope that every workshop, every sharing will still, like this session and other sessions before, will bring a lot of like helpful and valuable information for our teachers and help them to improve their teaching quality in the school. Thank you a lot today. Vâng,
Thank you.
kính thưa các thầy cô, buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay của chúng ta đã đến thời điểm kết thúc rồi ạ. Cũng hơi muộn một chút so với thời gian dự kiến, bởi vì thực sự là cái đề tài chủ đề về AI hôm nay là một đề tài mà được rất nhiều các thầy cô quan tâm. Và như các diễn giả hôm nay cũng đã chia sẻ, AI sẽ là một cái công cụ có thể hỗ trợ các thầy cô rất là hữu ích, nhưng sẽ hoàn toàn không thể thay thế các thầy cô trong việc dạy học cũng như đánh giá học sinh được, vì nó dù gì cũng chỉ là một công cụ, một công nghệ, một loại máy móc. Còn chúng ta là giáo viên với học sinh mới có những cái sự kết nối mang tính con người với nhau, và các thầy cô mới là những người hiểu các em học sinh của mình nhất và có thể đưa ra những cái phương pháp, những cái hoạt động giảng dạy cũng như đánh giá các em một cách chính xác nhất. Vâng, và hội thảo hôm nay thì đã kết thúc ở đây rồi. Ở phía trên màn hình đang là QR code để các thầy cô có thể đưa ra ý kiến, feedback về buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay. Thì cũng rất mong các thầy cô có thể dành thời gian hoàn thành phiếu khảo sát này để chúng em có thể tiếp thu những ý kiến phản hồi của thầy cô để nâng cao chất lượng những buổi hội thảo sau, cũng như là có thêm những cái ý tưởng để xây dựng những nội dung các buổi hội thảo sau làm sao có thể đáp ứng tốt nhất với những cái nhu cầu thực tế của thầy cô và những mong mỏi của thầy cô trong việc là hỗ trợ về mặt chuyên môn từ phía nhà xuất bản với đội ngũ triển khai bộ sách tiếng Anh Global Success. Vâng, và đến đây thì em xin phép cũng sẽ được gửi lời chào tạm biệt tới toàn thể các quý thầy cô. Trân trọng cảm ơn thầy cô đã dành thời gian tham dự buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay. Một buổi hội thảo đã kéo dài cũng gần 2 tiếng rưỡi rồi ạ. Và cũng xin được thay mặt cho ban tổ chức xin được một lần nữa kính chúc quý thầy cô một năm 2025 thật nhiều sức khỏe, luôn bình an, luôn may mắn và có thật nhiều những giờ học sáng tạo, những giờ học hiệu quả và có thể giúp hỗ trợ các em học sinh của chúng ta học tiếng Anh một cách tốt nhất và có thể tự tin hơn trong việc sử dụng kỹ năng của mình. Và một lần nữa thì cũng rất hy vọng với cái sự ra đời của app Global Speak trong thời gian tới thì cũng sẽ là một công cụ mà hỗ trợ thầy cô thực sự là hữu ích và hiệu quả trong việc là giúp các em có thể nâng cao những kỹ năng ngôn ngữ của mình. Vâng, xin cảm ơn các thầy cô và hẹn gặp lại các thầy cô trong những buổi hội thảo lần sau ạ. Xin kính chào và trân trọng cảm ơn ạ.